Welcome to the Fabulous at 50 podcast, where we are changing the aging narrative. I'm your host, Joanne Newduck, and I'm thrilled to bring you stories that matter and celebrate your place in the world. As an advocate for lifelong learning, health, and women's empowerment, I believe it's never too late to live the life you've always imagined. Through lively and informative interviews with inspiring guests, we'll explore a wide range of topics relevant to our global sisterhood of vibrant, inquiring women just like you. Join me for today's episode, and let's start changing the aging narrative together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode where we are talking about wellness, strength, and vitality with my guest, Cara-Michele Nether. She was witnessing her mother's tireless dedication to family, and this is where she learned the complexities of love and the demands it puts on women striving to give their all. With 19 years of experience in women's health as a licensed acupuncturist, functional nutrition counselor, and personal trainer, Cara-Michele has dedicated her career to empowering women to view self-care as the foundation for all of their achievements. So, Cara-Michele, welcome to today's episode.
Thank you so much, Joanne. I've listened to a handful of your episodes, and I'm really excited to be a part of that group, that community. It gets a chance to chat with you and your community.
Yeah. Well, I'm thrilled that we have come together. We're only meeting kind of face to face, Zoom, like online face to face now. So I'm thrilled to be learning more about what you're doing, because we're both out there helping women, mine kind of jokingly helping to be fabulous or helping to be vital and, have vitality, just coming at it from slightly different angles with a lot of commonalities. So I thought it'd be a really good opportunity for us to share and just, kind of collaborate, a bit of a mastermind on what are we doing, what is working. But of course, I love to circle back to how somebody gets started. But before that, I want to remind our listening audience, please check out the show notes, because you have an impressive bio, and it gives a little bit more insight into who you are and what you're doing, and also how people can reach you. So please go and check the show notes. There's lots of good information. But let's start off. Let's just take a little, what made you do this? What was it that kind of spurred you on to go, darn it, women, you have the right to feel healthy and vital and have wellness, and I want you to understand self-care.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question. You mentioned, I grew up watching my mom. She's the oldest girl of seven,
Wow.
and we as women, we just grow up with this conscious, unconscious information that we're supposed to be caregivers and take care of folks. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. We want to do that. We want to take care of the people that we love. And so, when the holidays would come around, our home would just fill up with family members, and my mom was just running ragged. I mean, by the time you get all your siblings, my grandmother was there, and all of my aunts and uncles, partners and wives and husbands and children. There was a lot of folks.
That
Uh,
is a lot.
yeah, yeah. And so it just from as a younger person's perspective, she was going all, day and night for those extended weekends when we would get together. And as I, got older and got out in the work world, I just kept seeing this all the time. Um, but what I started to notice is that there wasn't an emphasis on the woman taking care of herself as she was preparing to take care of all these people, or actually taking care of all these people. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
and not only there's not an emphasis on taking care of yourself, is in some ways is so I don't know about you, but so many women that I come across, they've taken on this unconscious belief that somehow self-care is selfish.
mm,
And it could be farther from the truth. Like,
yeah,
I know I put out there, and I know I want to get your perspective that really, but here I am, like, I was that woman that you're describing in a different way, a different setting, a different family setting, but it was always about putting everyone else first, which somehow seems honorable. But the reality is, when I liken it now to, if you have a car and you think it's selfish putting gasoline in it, I mean, at some point, it's gonna serve you well while you keep it running well. But if it doesn't, then it poops out, right? Like, it's gonna run out of gas, and we run out of gas. So how can we serve anyone then? So it's kind of counterproductive, you know. So what's your view
Absolutely.
on that?
Yeah, I'm right with you. We have to. We know intellectually that we can't give from an empty bucket, but at when we're in real time, when things are happening, people are asking,
Yep.
uh, work, parents, children, friends, relatives, they all need, right. And you know how it is when you show up as someone who's capable, then everybody wants more
Yep.
support from you, right. So in real time, the demands in our framework. The demands can outweigh the need to refuel, or even if we're aware of it, we think I'll get to that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
get
it's a
to it.
really good point, and I think and still sometimes it's not so much I forget to schedule in, "This is my time," and it's more like, "Yeah, I'll do it when there's a window." Well, there's never a window of time. There is
That's right.
always some other demand that we rise to the occasion for.
Yeah.
So you witnessed your mom doing this. As an adult, you became more aware of it, but then you still could have gone, "I'm just not gonna do that," and gone off and whatever, had your corporate job or been a school teacher or something like that. What drew you to the path? What was the first thing that you went into that said, I'm going to help other women?
Well, I've been a acupuncturist and a nutrition counselor and personal trainer going on 19 years now, and I've
Fantastic.
always focused on women's health. And just day after day, week, month after month, year after year, seeing the same women come in talking about the same things and hearing their stories and hearing their struggles, it just became crystal clear. Like everyone is managing troubles.
Right, right. Crazy. So what is it that you do for women then?
Yeah. I have an in-person, face-to-face practice. I've been an acupuncturist, like I said, for 19 years. And so I specialize a lot in pain and sleep issues and digestive issues and
Nice.
hormonal issues, those kind of things. But when COVID happened, I had a chance to sit down and kind of do a brain dump and put down everything that I had been saying, but I've been saying it to each individual person. I got a chance to put it all in one place. And so now I run online services to help women figure out the thing that I think is missing. And I'll frame it like this. If you and I were taking a walk and we stopped on a corner and decided we were going to ask 10 women this question: what do you need to do to take care of yourself? What do you think's missing to take care of yourself? They would all say the exact same things. They would all say, oh, I should probably get better sleep. Oh, I should probably drink more water. Oh, I know I need to exercise more. Oh, I know I need to watch my diet, right? And I say that to point to the fact that women know exactly what it is they need to do for themselves. So education is not the issue. The
Mhm.
issue is figuring out how to be consistent with the information that they have.
Yeah.
That's the piece that I see.
Absolutely. I've heard that a few times. I agree. Is that we all know what we need to do, but it's more like how do we fit it in?
Mhm.
And for a lot of us, it's like we do agree with this, that we are so much kind of giving and taking care of and managing, hopefully not micromanaging, but often micromanaging the world around us. And occasionally we just even if we know how to do it, we need someone else to take our hand and go, here we go. You get to be the one receiving now. You
Yes.
get to be the one doing for yourself.
Yeah. What I've learned over the years of working with all these women, hundreds and hundreds of women, is that if I can help them figure out what I call the mechanics of a particular health and wellness practice. So let's say they really want to get better sleep. if we can figure out, because the sleep itself will take care of itself if we can get the person, their mindset and their environment set up so that they can get good sleep. And being able to do that consistently is the trick to it all, right? And I call that, those pieces that we're missing, mechanics. So for example, the human body loves these three conditions when we're ready to sleep. We really love to have it be quiet, really loves to have it to be cool, and really love to have it be, let's see, quiet and cool. What's the third one? I just lost it. Quiet and cool and dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I can help talk through that with someone, have them tell me about their current routine, what's worked in the past, what hasn't worked in the past, and then we can kind of think through, how do you get those three pieces to fall into place consistently, then getting good sleep just becomes a no-brainer for them. But it
Yeah.
takes a minute. It takes some time to kind of sort it through, and then, of course, we have to figure out, how do we keep that going in the midst of company with other people, right?
Exactly.
We're not by
Exactly.
ourselves.
Or do you ever find that some people just are more, uh, they're like, "Oh, I can't fall asleep without my headphones on," or
Mm,
they're falling asleep without the TV on or something. They've developed habits that are not, they've attached this is how they fall asleep, but it's not conducive to the sleep cycle.
yeah,
It's phenomenal getting past that mindset of this is what I need to fall asleep. And so you work with that type of thing, right?
absolutely. And I think the other piece that's often missing in the mindset of busy working women is to try to figure this out over time.
Yes.
If, and that's a big if a woman is willing to take the time to think this through, then that time they're looking for the actual solution. I got to figure it out right now. And it doesn't always work out that way, and actually really rarely does, because there's a lot of different variables.
Hmm.
So you have to kind of play with those variables a bit, to kind of figure it out, and then allow yourself to, you kind of retrain yourself, but without a lot of mental trying, struggling. If you just do a little bit each time. So, going from having the TV on all night to not going to having the TV on the next day is going to be tough.
Exactly. You can't really go from 0 to 60 all in one. It's got to be some incremental steps. So we know that sleep is huge. And of course, I predominantly work with women in midlife. And so hormones start playing into it and eating and all of that. So I totally understand where you're coming from. I'm curious, with the women that you work with, like, do you find it's predominantly midlife women, or are you working basically with women and they're kind of all ages?
I love working with the same age group. 45 to 65 is
Yeah.
those folks there. They're
We're the best. We're the best, aren't
They're
we?
the best. That's absolutely right. I love, I'll tell you the honest truth why I love this group is that most of the time these women have tried everything. At least they'll say that they've tried everything, right?
Yeah.
And they're really ready to make solid changes in their life. They don't want the quick fix that never really pans out, that falls apart in a few weeks. They're really ready to make some changes, because not only have they tried everything on this side of life, but we're looking at this side of life, right? And they want to figure it out so that they can
Yeah.
age gracefully.
Absolutely. Or some of us, we're not even wanting to, we want to be wild and crazy as we age. Forget
That's
the
why,
graceful. We're not going to be
however you want to do
graceful.
it.
We're just going to do it messy, but we're just going to do it. We are not going quietly.
Yeah. You know what I mean by that is,
I do.
think
I
that we can get, I think that years can tick off, but we don't have to deal with a lot of medication and hospitalizations and not
exactly.
being able to be limited in our life.
Yeah, yeah. I've been doing so much research around that, and what I love, some of the terminology, and it's, you're addressing this as well, is there is a difference between our lifespan and our health span.
Yes.
No matter how long we live, whether it's kind of shorter or longer, I mean, it could be anywhere 70 to 100 type of thing.
Mhm.
We want our health in there. So what else? Like, I'm assuming you do a lot around physical fitness as well with this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
absolutely.
just curious as to how someone you started off more with acupuncture, right?
Yes.
And then got into the like fill in the gap for me, kind of how that evolved. I love it.
Sure. Yeah. I started off as an acupuncturist. I'm a licensed acupuncturist here in the state of Maryland. And I know that acupuncture is super useful for my clients, but it's not the end all be all.
Right.
If someone has a really bad diet, they have to stay in treatment with me in order to be able to sleep better or get that inflammation down in their joints and that kind of thing. And I'm really interested in helping women have this toolbox that
Yeah.
where they can go and grab resources that they know help them and support them, and then they can come back to me after we've gotten the knee pain or the back pain to settle down. They can come back to me for tune-ups, or if they're looking to go in a different direction, but I don't want them to need me all the time,
Yeah.
right? And so becoming a functional nutrition counselor and a personal trainer just seemed like the next best steps. I can't tell you how many times I had a client come back in the office with more pain, back pain, knee pain. Well, what happened? I would ask, and they'd say, "Well, I decided to go join a boot camp class." Um, and it turns out there were 25 people in the group. The person leading it was 25 herself. Everybody got 15 or 20 pound weights, and I haven't been exercising. But I'm there. I gotta keep going. So next thing you know, they hurt themselves in the middle. So I
Yeah.
heard
Gotta
that,
go slow.
yeah, a lot of times. So it's that, you know what? Let me create my own exercise group. I work with women online. I have online classes that I offer so that I can make sure that they're getting what they need. They can build the mental and physical strength that they're looking for without fear of injury.
Perfect. And that is so needed. I know for myself, I had a year without going into lots of details. Let's just say a year of some hiccups that, not actual hiccups, but hiccups in my health that held me back from exercising as I normally would. And so getting back into it has been really, I've needed some physio and I'm working with an exercise therapist.
Mhm.
And at first I was like, is this all you want me to do? And she goes, yes, that's all you're allowed to do right now. So I do, bit by bit, but I've been able to do it safely. And now I'm back in the gym and I'm doing the heavier weights. And we know, like, especially women in menopause with, decreases in estrogen, whole different story about hormones. But to counteract what happens to us during menopause, we need to be exercising. We need to lift heavier weights and build the strength of our body. What advice would you have for women around that, like building their strength and exercising? What's your approach?
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. If a person has not been exercising very much for the last 10, 15, 20 years, it's really important to start off slow.
Yeah.
Because once if you jump from 0 to even 50 quickly, you're going to be sore. You could actually hurt yourself. But either way, you're going to put yourself in a mindset where you don't want to continue.
Right.
Once you get to that place where you're so sore you can barely get out of bed, or it's slowing you down from walking up the steps and that kind of, it's very hard to want to go back into that environment, that exercise environment. So that's the first piece, is always take it slower than you think you do. And I always encourage folks to give it, so you exercise, let's say on a Monday, take Tuesday off, and
Okay.
then come back to it on Wednesday, because often it's the next day or even the day after that your body tells you that it's sore. That happens to me all the time. Like
Yeah.
I'll go do.
I'm a 2 day delay,
That's
always
right.
2 days when I'll feel something and go, oh.
Yep.
And I also find, do you find this where women in midlife, it's they've exercised, we have our exercise and maybe do something that we think we can always do. And then the issue I would have would be like, I don't feel like I've worked my muscles out. I feel like I've strained my joints,
Oh yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
so it's really important to be working with experts where you have a bit more one-on-one perhaps,
Mhm.
because the biggest thing is, if you'd agree, is not to throw in the towel and say I'm done, right? It's like, how do you, what's your trick for getting the mindset to go, yes, you can do this, keep on
Yeah.
going.
Absolutely, absolutely. Taking it slow, and then letting your body tell you how it feels for the next version is always a tricky mindset for women because we come at it all with a notion that we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're trying to squeeze in, trying to get the most out of it. We know we need to exercise. So let me just do it all right now. And that can really slow us down. The other thing that I think that I see a lot is that we want all the equipment, we want all the stuff.
Mhm.
And it's fine if you want all the stuff, but if you don't have the stuff, let's say you go on vacation or you're for whatever reason you have somebody a visitor coming to your home and now they're in the room that your exercise equipment is in. These kind of things show up all the time,
Yeah.
and so now it throws off your rhythm and your routine. So I like to teach a lot of body weight exercises. It's
Sure.
amazing how challenging it is to get down on all fours and hold yourself up off your knees off the ground, just on your hands and your feet.
Yeah.
In that way, you get a chance to work all the muscle groups at one time. It works your cardiovascular system, and you don't necessarily need to have any equipment with you. So it
Right.
just makes it a lot easier. If you're in a hotel room, you don't even have to bring your mat. You just throw out one of the towels they have on the floor there, and you knock out a 15 or 20-minute session, and then you go on.
Yeah. So smart. There is tons of things. I mean, I learned, well, just, my background with being an oncology nurse, just teaching women, like, because this is the other thing. I'm going to go down a different little rabbit hole, is women who have had some sort of illness or some kind of surgery and needing to make that comeback. So we'd work with women that have had, say, breast surgery,
Mhm.
and sometimes their first exercise is just using their fingers to inch their hand up.
That's right.
And then starting back with push ups was literally standing against the wall
That's right.
and moving to a counter. And so I love that you take that approach. You don't have to be going to a gym with tons of equipment. And so
Mhm.
many of us don't really feel comfortable doing that. Now,
Yeah.
it could be any more, or it could be, if you've never gone, if that's not been your jam, then you're not going to want to start doing it now.
Absolutely. I always want to remind women that it's okay to just acknowledge and honor the fact that we might not have had experience with a piece of the health and wellness puzzle.
Yeah,
Not everyone was an athlete in high school,
exactly.
right? Not everyone has had a lot of experience with cooking, right? So it's okay. So just say to yourself, when it comes to preparing nutritious meals, I'm a beginner here. So let me just start from this beginner's place. Let me try one meal and see how it goes. That's mostly vegetables versus something else. And then and give yourself the room to experiment and play there, right? You don't have to. So many of us are afraid and nervous about not being adequate at something, not being good, not being good enough,
Yeah,
and that mentality, that fear inside us can really push us to push ourselves, and then the whole thing crumbles. So
yeah,
it's really useful to give yourself grace, relax. It's okay. Can I put in one more piece here about this exercise?
yeah,
I noticed that on a lot of clients will go to YouTube to find exercises.
yeah.
And I just want to remind women in this age group that very few of the YouTube videos out there are meant for you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And this is so important, and I've been listening to some, I wanna call them menopause gurus lately. Just there really are incredible people out there speaking about, and we say menopause because I'm gonna say the menopause transition or midlife, because I know women that are like 60 or 65 going, "Oh, I'm past that." The reality is we're never past it. Once we're old enough, we've gone through that initial haywire hormones. But after that, unless you're on hormone replacement, your estrogen is bottoming out.
Mhm.
Like we have like less what like around 1% of what we had when we were in our 20s. So what we used to do no longer works for us.
Mhm.
So we're not trying to be younger versions of ourselves. We are trying to be the best version of us now.
That's right.
And I hear that with you. I hear a lot of compassion in the way you talk. Like what I love about talking with you and listening to you, what I'm getting is I'm getting that energy of compassion, but with also a can-do attitude. And like,
Yeah.
I know you can do this. Like you are that I'm going to get you to do this. Like this is I'm going to be here and encourage you to do this. And I have a lot of compassion as to why you think it's hard. So I think that is you're walking this beautiful balance that is not often witnessed. So I honor you for that. I just want to share that for
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you.
Um another question that was coming up that was really cool. I wanted to get your opinion on um to do with sort of getting women's mindset to understand that this may have getting people's mindset changed. This may have worked for you in the past. And now this is what like our bodies are changing. It's like you go from a child, you go through puberty and then you're a woman or a person, whatever, like man, woman, everything. Um we were a woman that kind of was fertile and now we're going through a different transition. We are coming out a different type of woman. But there was a time where it was just women just kind of, go downhill
Mhm.
and just get more and more frail. But what you're giving hope, in programs like myself and many others, were in this genre of you don't have to go downhill. Yes, we have to change. So can you speak on that for a bit? Just like what are you standing for these women?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. I see the same kind of mindset and expectation often that I'm getting older. I'm not going to be able to do life, and I just have to accept how things are going. And to a certain extent, there are some things that we just can't change. But the point that I want to make for folks is that there's so much that we can. We
Yeah.
have a lot more control over. Our ability to travel and be with our families and connect with our friends and creating a life in this other phase that you spoke about. And I always see, when we were 20 or 25, right, we had the body, right, and the brain, everything was firing and we had all of this energy over here, but maybe not so much. We didn't understand ourselves. We didn't understand the world. We didn't understand our place in it all. How are we connecting? But now at this age, I'm 55. I know a ton about that. I understand who I want to be and what my place in the world and what kind of life I want to create for myself, all of that. So, how can we bring these two together? Why does the person who understand themselves, why do they need to not have a physical body that's capable of living that life into the world out loud is the phrase I want
I
to
love I
live
love
that
how
out
you're
loud,
framing this.
right? So that's my goal, right? I just want to help thousands of women to synthesize, clarify their vision for themselves. What is it that they want their life to look like now versus 10 or 20 years ago? What is it I'm trying to do for myself? Who do I want to be for the people that I care about? Who do I want to be for myself? But then also have the mental and physical capacity to back that up and to actually live it out into the world.
Oh, I got goosebumps on that one. That is beautiful. And I'm sitting here going, "Oh, I have a whole bunch more questions. I'm sure that I want to be asking you, but we're getting close to kind of winding up here now." So I think what I'll do is I'd love to give you the opportunity to share what are your top three pearls of wisdom or takeaway that you want to have as top of mind to our listeners today?
Absolutely. So number one, I think that it's really useful to take a minute and do what we were just talking about. you give yourself some space to clarify, like, who do you want to be? Here's my question to the viewers. If you could be the woman of your dreams, who would you be?
Mm.
What
Yeah.
is she how does she handle difficulties? How does she interact with family and friends? How does she travel? What does she think about making mistakes? What does she think about sharing her wisdom? Like all of those things. Like, who is this person? And then the other side of that, I call it the you and for who. So the you is who's the woman you want to be? And then how do you want to show up for the people that are most important to you? People and projects, let's say, right?
Love it.
So I think that's tip number one is to take, and my one of my mentors would say that's not a one walk dog. So it's useful to make a little
What a
space.
great saying.
Yeah, right. It's like, again, we're not going to get this all pinned down in one session.
Yeah.
So you might make some room in your life to just kind of sit for 10 or 15 minutes and just brainstorm about that. Um, the second tip is when you're thinking about your self-care journey, intentionally make it ridiculously easy in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because what we want out of this plan is consistency, not perfection.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're a person who, we'll go back to exercise, if you're a person who's been sitting behind a desk for the last 15 years, giving to everybody else, and you're really thinking now's your time, maybe it's a 15-minute walk or a 10-minute walk, right? Maybe being able to do that every other day for a few weeks, even. And even if you feel like you can go fat more than 15 minutes, I wouldn't. Because if you do that, then you're going to expect that you're going to do that the next time too. Now it's not 15 minutes anymore. It's 25 minutes now because I did 25 last week. So just keep it slow and then just add a little bit, every 10 days or every 2 weeks. And then over time, you'll build up.
Hmm.
Keep it super simple. And I would always, on that same thought pattern, I would really like to keep it with the basics that you already know you need. And that actually brings me around to the third tip, I think, is to work with the fundamentals of health and wellness. We are never without a TV show, a commercial, a magazine, a podcast, sharing some newfangled something or another. And look, technology moves us along, and there's a lot of cool things out there. But our physical bodies and this brain that we have, it hasn't changed that fast.
No, it hasn't.
No.
And that's one of the problems is so much is changing around us and we're like a prehistoric
Yeah.
physical being still.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So the information that you got 25 years ago about the basics, about the importance of water, being hydrated, about the importance of good sleep, about the importance of nutrition, about the importance of exercise, a strong digestive system, those basic things that we just know are true about the human body. Maybe put your efforts, put your time, your focus in on those things. And don't make those complicated, okay? Just just get started with it. If you're noticing, I think it's really nice to track your progress, and no one ever wants to hear that. But you don't know if we don't. We're
Yeah.
guessing. So when I ask women, in the office or on our online programs, how much water you typically drinking, they're kind of like, well, like then they
Write
throw
it
out
down.
a number.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
That would
better
make sense.
there's all kinds of really easy, some type of Apple thing or, the Fitbits or whatever it
Yep.
is. It's easy to track your sleep, those kind of things. So, start off, know where you are now and add just a teeny,
A
teeny
little bit.
bit to it. And then you add a little bit more in 2 weeks, add a little bit more in 2 weeks later, and
Love it.
just let that build up on its own.
Love it. I here's my tip for water. I tell someone most people have their favorite. Like here's my favorite water. I like one with a straw. So the way I started making sure I got the right amount of water into me is I calculated out. I'm sure you have your calculation, but I use a very simple one. Take your weight in pounds, divide by half, and that's how many ounces you need.
Sure.
unless you've been told and you have some kind of kidney issue, then go by what you've been told. But I just calculated out how many, like, is it 2 of these or is it 3.5 of these? I put an elastic band on, fill it up, drink it. Every time I'm done, I pull the elastic off. Take
Okay.
a drink, pull it off. Make it super simple. And it's like, instead of me trying to calculate an ad and write it down, I'm like, I still have 2 elastic bands on here. I'm going to have to drink some more water today. It was super, super simple on how
Wow.
to do it. Get it where you have to drink 3 of something a day. But I love your idea. It really is about getting back to basics. And I'll throw in here, and we can have a conversation maybe in the future, is that's back to basics on the physical level. I believe, and what I have in my programs as well, and I can tell you do as well, is a lot of self-care is what you're saying up here. What you're
Absolutely.
saying to yourself, being kind to yourself, because it doesn't matter, honestly, how much water you're drinking, what food you're eating, what exercise you're doing,
Mhm.
if you are being mean to yourself in your
Absolutely.
mindset, right?
Agree.
So I can tell you're a woman that would not on your watch, nobody's doing that anymore. Right? So, on that note, again, I just love your enthusiasm, your dedication to what you're doing with women, and your deep compassion to understanding where they're coming from. And it's not a matter of making anyone feel guilty and you got to be doing this. It's a matter of you have given to everyone else and now it's your time,
Mhm.
and start slow. And the reality is, here's what I want to impress and agree, I'm sure you agree with me, is one of the biggest reasons why you're giving to yourself is so you can keep giving to others at a
Mhm.
magnificent level.
That's right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening to us today. And absolutely check out the notes, and you can find out how to reach Cara-Michele. And I know she has some incredible programs, and it's wonderful out there. There's so many different programs out there. What's wonderful is when I have guests on like this, is you've got a little glimpse into who she is, and if you feel like you resonate, with her, then by all means reach out, and we hope you do. And if there's anyone that is listening that's come via Cara-Michele's audience and you want to know more about Fab at 50, by all means reach out, and I'm happy to answer any questions. We'd love you to have you part of our community as well, and we can cross pollinate so people have
Absolutely.
more wonderfulness in their life.
I look forward to that. Thank you so much
Awesome.
for this opportunity.
Thank you for being on today. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. But before you leave, I'm curious. What pearl of wisdom are you taking away from today's episode? I do hope it held some inspiration or information for you to live your best life. If you are not yet part of our sisterhood, I invite you to join our community by visiting our website, fabulousat50.com, and you'll receive a free copy of our ebook, Make Mine Fabulous: 21 Ways to Energize Your Life. It is packed with loads of tips and tricks. Plus, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this podcast and leave us a review to let us know what you think. Remember, keep choosing fabulous. It's never too late to live the life you deserve. Catch you on the next episode.